Hi everyone. So in this webinar, I'm going to give you the SCASS update, and you'll find this folder under our statewide mathematics leadership team website. And if you click on the SCASS update, it will open up to the SCASS folder. And this is where the other state supervisors of mathematics and the partners come together, so that what they try to do is coach us up so that we can come back and bring the latest information back to the states. Another great thing that happens at SCASS is we have discussion groups and work groups. And within those discussion groups and work groups, we work together with the other organizations to really guide the work of the white papers and the position statements, and also other structures that we can work collaboratively on. And I feel like we are about where everybody else is at across the country with the math, as far as we're all trying to figure out MTSS. We're all trying to figure out the algebra, getting students through algebra, in many schools having high failure rates. Another thing that we are all working together to figure out is, what does professional development look like with all the budgets changing, and how that's going to start to probably guide some of what we do. And another part is the principles to action. And I was really excited because several states have already done statewide rollouts of principles to action. So they have many resources that I will be able to collaborate with the other state supervisors on, such as IC maps and modules and things like that. So we'll have some of those resources, and we can learn from those that went before us. So that was really exciting. The next part of our SCASS is our partners that come in. And so our partners give a update. So for one, it was the Achieve came, and Achieve has a new report out that has a ton of information in it and links about the new state profile, showing far too many states need better data for determining college and career readiness. And that just came out in February. So that link, you can copy and paste that into your browser and check that out if you're interested in that. Students Achievement Partner, who's also Achieve the Core, they talked about a lot of their instructional practice tools that they have around the shifts and other items, and they have some instructional practice guides and what the learning goals of those are and the components. And so you can go into Achieve the Core and learn more about that. And what I'm most excited about with Students Achievement Partners and Achieve the Core is I'm going to be attending some training in Denver, Colorado in May, so that I can learn how to be a core advocate. So I will be able to learn and have a deeper knowledge of the information and come back and share that with the group as well. NCTM gave us an update of what their regional conferences are, some of their legislative platforms. There's a new taking actions, implementing effective math teaching practices in grades 6 through 8 that are going to come out in April. Pre-K and high school are in preparation. And what excites me about this is just going to allow us to continue to roll our principles to action work forward as after our launch in June, and as we continue to do that work over the next several years, because we will have many resources, and Peg Smith and Deanne Hunker are doing this work. They also stress building community. We talked a lot about leveraging technology, because we're just, with all the budget cuts, we're thinking of different ways that we can support teachers and continue to connect and have that community. So there's a new member discount. They gave us also an update on the high school task force that's working on the pathways through high school mathematics, building focus and coherence. And there was a little misunderstanding when we talked about this during the webinar, because some thought it was going to be like a revision of the high school standards, and that's not what's going to happen. What they're talking about is to have multiple pathways for students for those high schools standards for mathematics. And just as a reminder, we are all standards for all students except the pluses, right? Just the pluses are intended for those students going to a four-year university. Metametrics shared also, and they are one of our partners. And what what I appreciate about Metametrics, and I know some of the schools shared that they use it, is their work around quantiles, and they are aligned to Smarter Balance. I know that we're on a pause right now, but they are aligned. And one of the things that I really like is because I remember as a parent who wanted to make sure that my student was reading the materials that he should, I often use Lexile levels to guide his selection of books as far as, okay, you can get that book again from the library because that's your favorite. And here's, but maybe it's way low below your Lexile. And here's some other ones. Let's pick one that's on. And so I really believe in that. And I know I've heard the criticisms of, well, it's not finite, and maybe some don't all agree. But for the novice parent, it really is wonderful. And they also have been working with the quantiles. And so the quantiles have that similar guidance of what should practice. So if your student is in this quantile, what really is their level that they should be practicing on the content? And it talked about the different states, partners, and they're growing over the last several years. And I know they are really interested in helping support our work if we end up going to Smarter Balance, but we're on a pause for that right now. So the math, the SCASS from NCSM share was about the coaching corner and all the great information. They also shared about the strategic initiatives that they have over the next couple of years. So again, you're going to see that connecting leaders, leadership and learning, equity and social justice. And part of my ASSM, or for my ASSM, their focus is also about building that capacity and sustainability for leaders and how we leverage technology for connecting that. They shared about their PLCs where you can go and learn and connect with their professional culture, and then their different tools. And teaching mathematics and the digital age model, they shared that under the change imperatives, so we want a connected professional culture, and so we need to select hardware for learning, and then their call to action to develop awareness, equity, and social justice and mathematics education. So here are all the organizations that are working together, and then they talked about their upcoming conference in San Antonio. I am not able to attend that, so I hope whoever is able to attend that will bring that information back. Also with the NCTM regional and different conferences. Ed Reports gave us an update as far as they are our partners, and they're really the national lead on determining what textbooks are aligned under the math shifts for standards, coherence, and focus. And so they have a new director of mathematics. They shared their theory of action. They talked about the information that's available on their website. They talked about their findings for date and how they have 14. They've done 14 series. They've done 16 series for 6-8 and 14 for high school. And so you can see here what ones are really aligned and which ones are not. They talked about the K-8, what's nearing publication, and when they're hoping to have it on the website. And also for the high school ones, so they've really ramped up their effort with high school. And then other materials that are in the pipeline. So they are working on those digital things, digital platforms and digital resources such as LearnZillion and other resources like that. And then questions that they're thinking about. Doing the math together. So we always do math together because as math people, that's just what we do, right? We always want to do some sort of math together. So NCTM and NCSM partnered together to give us this water conservation task. And it was really about mathematical modeling. It wasn't about modeling mathematics, but it was mathematical modeling, which is really about that open-ended question problem that has multiple entry points, not one particular solution. We're looking for the most effective and efficient. We're going to collect our own data. So they had us do that, and we talked about what our models or approach might be. and how might this task be used. And then they also reiterated that the guidelines for assessment and instruction and mathematics modeling education is the GAME report, and it talks about what is mathematical modeling, what does it look like in PK through 8, high school and college, and so some additional resources there. Achieve the Core also shared with us, they did not have their own slide, but what they shared with us was the new state profiles to show how far too many states need better data college and career readiness. So I would encourage you to go check that out as well. It's really interesting and has several links that take you to other places, and there's just a ton of information there. So then this folder just contains the documents of, they had us read this Going with the Flow article. In the Rethinking Mathematics Acceleration, so we had a session on the fact that we're just finding that far too many students are being pushed through Algebra 1 in middle school. And the research is showing that it's not always the best fit for a student, and really it should be reserved for the top 5%. And if we allow students to have a solid foundation in K-8, then afterwards they can always double up in their math in high school. But pushing them too fast and having too much pressure on them when you consider the wholeness of their development, they're finding that many of those students get turned off to math because it's so much pressure and it's faster, right? And so that those students are better served in K-8 by really learning the K-8 curriculum, and they are not repeating math in high school at the rate at which the students who are pushed into Algebra 1 early in middle school, and then oftentimes it results in them repeating multiple Algebra 1 or other courses for math. And so you can look at some of the information that was shared here. So, and this ties very well with our standards, because in K-8, it's supposed to be progressing towards the standards, and in high school, it's supposed to be proficiency in 11th grade, right? So we need to allow that for that students to grapple with those mathematics and make those connections and get that deeper understanding. And it's really for students, if they have a solid K-8 and they're strong in math, but maybe they're not in the top 5%, it's okay for them to really get that solid foundation and go to high school and take Algebra 1 and geometry together, or do really well in Algebra 1 and decide to take geometry and Algebra 2 together. And then that still gets them to calculus before the end of high school, which we know that tends to be a lot of what happens. But what they're finding is more and more students need the statistics more, and college professors really want calculus to be taken in college. And so if we can have them take a statistics course, and then when they take statistics in college, it'll be that much easier for them. Then we also had Learning with Doug Clements, and we've not received his slide deck yet, but so you can open up here for the notes and see the work that he's currently doing, and he lists several articles in here. And if you go under here, oops, that was the wrong one, that's the LT2, and underneath here, he has some webinars coming up. So I hope that you'll take advantage of joining this webinar and learning more about pre-K through 3rd grade teaching mathematics. And that was it. So as I get more information, I will be able to share that out, but that's basically all the different information that we talked about as far as the presentations. But we also had many conversations. We had discussion groups, breakouts, and work teams to where we talked about all of those other things like the MTSS and the Algebra 1 work and those things. So I'm hoping over the next couple of SCASSes we'll have some great resources that we can use as well.